Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monday Lunchtime Digest for October 27, 2025. Happy Monday, Haley.
Happy Hallow Week, Micah.
Hello, week. Oh,
Yep.
man. Oh, it is so good to have everyone here. And we were talking a minute ago, we have a lot to talk about today. So, uh, I would first like to talk a little bit about the interim studies. And so, if you haven't heard, the House interim study 25 0188 was completed. And so, if you would like to read about that, this is the one on mental health and managed care in Oklahoma. You can find it here at their website. And if you click on it, then it will show you how you can download the information of the study and then also listen to the audio of the meeting. And so that's something that I encourage you guys to look into, learn more about that study. I know a lot of people have been interested in it, on how these managed health care plans, these insurance companies have been managing Oklahoma Medicaid. So that is how you can find that interim study. The other one, looking at the Senate interim study, this is 25 077, which is medical licensure boards. So this topic of this one is to consolidate medical licensure boards, including the Oklahoma Board of Behavioral Health. Also looking at consolidating the Oklahoma Board of what's the psychologist, examiners of psychology, I think is what it's called.
Mhm.
So looking at consolidating the mental health boards along with other medical boards. And so this one has not been scheduled. Now they have until October 31st to complete the interim studies. So unless this one gets scheduled here in the next few days and the documentation comes up, it may not actually get scheduled, which then kind of led me into another conversation that Haley and I had a minute ago, before coming on the air here. But I attended a meeting recently with some Oklahoma legislators, and they were giving a workshop and talking. And one of the things that they just said is that there are legislation that is proposed, bills that are proposed that are just to get people's attention, just to kind of showboat. Haley, you called them bullshit bills, I think, a minute ago, whenever we were talking. I think that's a great name for it. That the person proposing the bill has no intention of it passing, does not think it's going to pass, is solely just to get people's attention and to get people riled up. And then the thing that in this meeting with these legislators, one of the things that they said just kind of in passing, they said, and also there's interim studies that are proposed just to get people riled up. And I immediately thought of this interim study 25 077 to see if its sole purpose was just to get mental health professionals riled up. I don't know that for sure. That's just Micah's wondering out loud. I don't know if at all if that is true. But I do know, going back to a little bit of what happened earlier this year with the sunset bill being pulled off of the agenda by Representative Mike Osborne, apparently due to him being upset that UCO's classes weren't approved by the Oklahoma Board of Behavioral Health, and that UCO was going to have to go through its hoops or whatever to try to get these classes approved by the Oklahoma Board of Behavioral Health, which have been, my understanding, that's been resolved. But the fact that that had not been resolved and was not being resolved to his satisfaction, then he decided to take the sunset bill off of the agenda, which then just causes angst for a whole bunch of mental health professionals. And Haley, I know that you interviewed him earlier this year. He said that he has no doubt that the sunset bill will pass. He's not worried about it passing, but at the same time, it still causes a lot of mental health professionals in Oklahoma a lot of stress and angst that our Board of Behavioral Health, may sunset. And what would that mean? A lot of social media posts, all types of things that happen just for him to be able to make a statement that he wasn't happy with the way the Oklahoma Board of Behavioral Health was handling things. So it's just kind of showboating. And again, this is just Micah's opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. That kind of irks me and gets under my skin a little bit. And then I know as we're talking about these bullshit bills that you're talking about, the one that came up earlier this year by Representative Justin Humphrey on eliminating the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse and moving it under the function of the Department of Corrections. And that's something that I know on social media, people are like, what? And got all stirred up about. And come to find out that he really did not think that this would pass. This really wasn't anything that was a serious consideration. It was just one of these showboat bills. I'm just going to stir things up to get attention because I'm not happy with the way that the process is going. So I'm just going to stir things up. So Haley, what are your thoughts about that?
There's many different reasons why representatives or senators might introduce legislation that they know won't be passed. The senators, for example, in Oklahoma, they can submit unlimited bills. Representatives, I believe, are capped at 8 to 12. I'll have to look that up. But senators can, in particular, they can submit as many bills as they'd like. And so it's not even necessarily up to the senator when it comes to what bills get heard. That's up to the party leaders of the floor, of course. And so, but there are many reasons why. One, it could be to stir folks up. Two, because they've had a constituent call saying, hey, I think this bill needs to be written, and they have that bill written, whether or not they think it's going to be passed. It could be to fluff their numbers. So some representatives, especially if they're new, maybe they want to be able to hit their max bill so they can show their constituents, hey, I'm doing all that I need to do. So they might borrow bills from others if another representative has too many bills that they want to introduce. And so there's many different reasons they might put up a bill that is that they don't have faith that's actually going to go through. And it could be to, like I said, showboat, to be the waste time, prove constituents that they're actually doing something. It could be that they're brand new and they don't have legislation for themselves. But at the end of the day, whenever we see these bills being posted, like if they do rile us up, if we do feel something, that should be a call to action for us to communicate that to them. Whether or not it's a bullshit bill, is to communicate that to them. It's not necessarily that we need to share so much on social media or complain about it or whatnot. If something's bothering you, we need to let them know, because we have more power than what we sometimes feel like. I know that sometimes it feels like, the legislators they're in Oklahoma City and they do what they need to do. We don't really have a say. Like before they make a vote on any bill, there is a little screen that only they can see that shows how many of their constituents have called, have emailed, have sent a letter saying they are for or against a bill. And so if we are really upset about something, we need to let them know. But also, it's important for us, if we do see a bill that is being introduced that, we're upset about, just kind of follow it along too before we get too riled up. Is it going to die in committee? Is it even going to make it to committee? Because the bill has to not only make it to a committee, it has to pass a committee in one chamber and get approved to go to the next chamber, go through the whole process again without revisions before it's even considered. And so I think that's important for us to, be informed about legislation, know how to follow a bill, keep an eye on those bills, and try not to feed into the fear mongering. It's really easy to do so. I used to write for, and honestly, I used to write for an organization where we, wrote a lot about these, what I called bullshit bills. And, I can tell you that's how it gets clicks, but that's also how we instill fear in others too, if we just focus on that. And so stay informed, follow the bills, don't always freak out. But if you feel like there is something that shouldn't happen, contact your legislator. Remember, you have more power than what we sometimes feel like. And that being said, we can also contact our legislators and let them know if we do feel like a bill should be put on the docket. So that's just my 2 cents, though.
Yeah. And I think, as I'm trying to get, over the past couple of years, more educated in the legislative process and things, I think we've had situations where things have snuck up on us. Mm-hmm. And, HIE is an example of that, where things snuck up on us that it had actually been passed. It was just looking at the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority to write the rules before Oklahoma Mental Health became even aware of it. and started pushing against it and stuff. So we had things that we should have been alarmed about earlier that we didn't really know about, that we weren't alarmed about. And now, having some of these other things that come up, and it's hard to kind of know, okay, what's an appropriate level of response. And I think, again, something we were talking about, we could talk probably for a whole hour about this, and done with his soapbox here in just a minute. But looking at, okay, well, who really benefits from us getting riled up? So of course there are things that we should be concerned about, things that are very scary that are happening and things like that. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't be riled up about some things, but whenever you look on social media and you see some legislator saying the other side wants to do this, and really, if you look at the nuances of it, you see, okay, it's really just a partial truth that they're putting out there, that yes, it's partially true, but really the nuance is this and this. And if they were to say, hey, this side thinks this, we think that, we're going to try to find some negotiation in between, then that doesn't cause all the fear and anger and everything like that to be elicited. And so it profits a lot of the legislators to give, in my opinion, half truths to get people stirred up. Because what do they benefit from that? Well, what they benefit is I'm angry because this other side is so horrible, and my representative, my senator, is the champion for me, so I'm going to give them my vote. And then also, I'm angry, I'm going to donate to whatever action committee or something like that to donate to them. And so social media benefits from it because it gets clicks. Media benefits on both sides of the spectrum, benefits from it because it gets viewership. And so having kind of the more Walter Cronkite, these are the facts, as boring as they may be, doesn't get as much of the clicks, the views, the things like that, which that attention economy, it's that attention economy that these people are looking for that gets the money. So as we try to navigate, okay, what's worth really being scared about? And then also what is just people telling half truths, spinning things up, or putting out a bullshit bill just because they want to send a message to, in this case, I think you said Justin Humphrey, the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health. He's wanting to send a message to them. So he's going to waste his time and energy, which is taxpayer dollars. He's going to get everyone spun up just because, which is mental health therapists have enough stress. We don't need more stress. And so I just wonder if there's better ways for our legislators to approach these things rather than feeding in with just getting things spun up just to get attention. So that is my 2 cents. So I came in Monday morning with my Wheaties and wanted to give that. So any thoughts about that before we bounce to something else?
Well, this is something that has gone on in, American politics for 200 years at this point. There's a really great book called Whistle Stop, and it is the fellow who hosts one of the CBS morning shows on politics. I can't remember his name. I can picture his face, but he's the author of it. And so it has a really great overview of just the history of basically politicking in the United States, and all the shady things that have been, all the truthful things that have been done, all the moral things that have been done, all the immoral things. I mean, not everything, but it has a lot of great stories and vignettes of how politics has really evolved and changed over the last 200 years. And so if you're interested in learning more, I think that's a really great book. I don't get paid to tell anyone that it's a good book, but Whistle Stop, it's an interesting look at this culture that we have in America.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So also you saw a study recently?
Yes, and so I have a study for us today. Well, actually, it's a BBC article. So I posted it on our Facebook, not our Instagram, sorry, our LinkedIn, and just across the board today. So it's an article that looks at a series of studies that examine why is it that we seek out things that are horror and things that are spooky. And so BBC said from one study, they suggested that horror can be a type of play. And I know a lot of us therapists are play therapists, and so we know how, play can be really helpful in processing emotions and learning social scripts and planning for things. And so what one study suggested is that Horror allows us to imagine like some of these worst case scenario scenes and kind of plan for it, which having an end to a horror movie kind of gives us a resolution as well. And so it allows us to experience these feelings like this anxiety, maybe this dread, maybe this fear that maybe we don't usually have an outlet for, but in a kind of a healthy way, if you can. There's also was another study. This was by the UK's Aarhus University in their recreational fear lab, which I didn't know there was such a research lab, which sounds awesome. I mean, I've worked in some labs in the past, but the recreational fear lab sounds amazing. But they looked at the psychological benefits of horror. And what they found was that there are typically, and what was interesting about this study is it's actually been replicated in across cultures and other cultural studies, is they found that those who seek out horror typically fall into one of three groups. So the first one is the adrenaline junkies. So they seek out horror because they love the feeling of suspense. They love to be scared. That is not me. I'm definitely number two, which is the white knucklers who seek out horror not because they like the fear. They actually do not like the fear and the suspense. They don't enjoy it, but they appreciate the resolution of a horror film because there's that release. And the third one is the dark copers. They seek out fear and horror because it makes them feel safer in the world that there are now. And they found that a lot of people who are going through like political turmoil or are in unsafe situations, these dark copers may seek out horror movies more because it's kind of a foil to their own life. Like, well, at least I'm not there. So it's kind of a safety almost. And again, that's been replicated in other studies, which was really fascinating to me. But what they found was that no matter which group you fall into, there's some sort of psychological benefit to horror. And the article goes on, it looks at lots of different ways to examine seeking out horror, like horror as play, horror as coping. But the last interesting bit that I picked out was Netherlands researchers invented this game called the Midlight game. So the Midlight game, the kiddos, it's a game to help kiddos to overcome anxiety, and they hooked up kiddos to this EKG machine, so they and other biomarkers, and basically the kiddos are playing this video game. Whenever they come across a monster or jump scare, as soon as they are able to do their deep breathing and regulate themselves and get their heart rate down, the monster turns into a kitten. And so what they have found is that this game, going through a protocol of this video game, was as effective as cognitive behavioral therapy for CBT. And so it's really a fun read, just looking at the different possible psychological benefits of horror. It's not written by a clinician, but it cites a lot of different studies. But I thought it was a fun read. And again, it's on our Facebook page if you're interested in learning more.
Great. Fantastic. And what's the name of this game again you were just talking about?
I said Midlight game.
Midlight game.
Midlight game. Yes, and it's cited in that BBC article we posted. But I thought it was really fantastic. Like me, of course, I'm a white knuckler. We talked about this last week. I am not a horror fan. Like I'm a white knuckler for sure. Which one are you, Mike? Are you an adrenaline junkie, dark coper, or a white knuckler as well?
I think I'm the one that at least life is not as bad as it was in that show.
The dark coper.
Yeah, I'm that one. I think.
That's fair. My spouse is a mixture between an adrenaline junkie and a white knuckler. So I think he's kind of both. But yeah, so let us know too. I know we'll have a question for the episode, but let us know in the comments too if you are, which group do you fall into?
Very nice. And then we have a lot going on here at OCI. So what's going on at Oklahoma Counseling Institute?
So much going on at OCI, especially next week. So next week we have our monthly Whimsical Wednesdays. And so Whimsical Wednesday is going to take place next Wednesday, November 5th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And it's going to take place at Perette's Coffee and Desserts at 701 West Sheridan. So if you joined us for Whimsical Wednesdays in the past, we've done a couple of events down there. It's down on Film Row. And so it's right by the Retro Pub, right by the Cider Co. place. And so join us for coffee, desserts, and games next Wednesday. And as always, we'll be giving away a prize to whoever wins the game. So haven't decided on the game yet. I'm going to pick Micah's brain on what he's thinking whenever we meet this afternoon. And so we will have something fun to play. But also next week, next Saturday, we have another set of live webinars. And so if you go to counselinginstitute.org, you're going to find on Saturday, November 8th, we're going to have 2 live webinars in the morning. We'll have Dr. Iva Graywolf, who will be presenting on opening the box, which is cultural considerations for working with American Indian Alaskan Native folks. And so Dr. Graywolf comes with 30 years of counseling and research experience on serving Indigenous folks across America and across, of course, part of America, but Alaska as well. But she'll be talking about not only generational trauma, but also how can you inform yourself for specific cultures. Because as we know, working with Indigenous folks, it's not a monoculture, not all tribes are the same. And so she'll be giving further information on how we can better educate ourselves and make ourselves more competent to serve folks who identify as members of tribes. And in the afternoon, we're going to have Dr. David Pfaff. So Dr. David Pfaff, one of our highest rated speakers at the Summer Super Summit. Really happy to welcome him back for a 3-hour live webinar on ACT for substance abuse. And so that'll be a 3-hour addictions counseling specific training. So if you need those live CEUs before the end of the year, join us next Saturday, November 8th, for 2 great seminars totaling 6 hours of CEs. And then on top of all that, we'll have our winter webinar weekend, December 4th, 5th, and 6th. So that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to have 3 hours of ethics, 3 hours of supervision. We'll have drug and alcohol specific. Is all 18 hours of live CEs. And so if you're an LCSW and just need 16 to 18 live CEs or 16 to 18 CEs in general, knock them all out in 3 days, my friend. We also have a package available where if you become a member and buy the whole winter webinar weekend, you can save over $150 by registering all together. And so as always, if you have any questions, because I know I just talked a lot about all of our trainings, I get real excited. Go to counselinginstitute.org, find all of our packages, find all of these trainings. You can also shoot me a text at 405-440-3034 or send me an email, hello@edmondcounseling.com. I'm happy to send you all the information as well. But that's what we got going on these next, I guess, wow, just 5 weeks, Micah. A lot's happening in 5 weeks.
Right. So, as Haley already said, you can go to counselinginstitute.org. You can go to counselinginstitute.org/events. You'll be able to see the calendar there of everything that's coming up. So everything that she just mentioned, you can go there. You can click on each one of these and learn more about the presenter and about the workshop, and then be able to register from there. So certainly go to our website and check out everything that we have coming up. And then go ahead, Haley.
Say, if you want to as well, if you're going to be at a conference this week, we'll be set up at ODAPCA. So come by and see us too.
Oh, that's right. Come by at ODAPCA. And if you come by the table, you can get some free continuing education there as well.
Absolutely. We'll have a flyer with QR codes for 2 free addictions counseling specific trainings. And so stop by and see me. And I got an email this morning that Friday we're supposed to wear a costume. So I don't know what I'm going to be yet, but come see that spectacle as well.
Well, fantastic. And then, as always, we have a lot going on here at Edmond Counseling and Professional Development, which you can learn all about those things at edmondcounseling.com. And one of the biggest things that we are excited about, in addition to our free Smart Recovery support group, our free family and friends support group, is for people who have a loved one that's dealing with addiction issues, is our free chronic pain group that's coming up. So this is starting November 11th here, goodness, just in a couple of weeks. And so it is going to be facilitated by Amanda Beck, and it is going to be primarily a place of support, but also a place of learning cognitive behavioral therapy skills for chronic pain. It will be in person and online. So it will be a hybrid group. So if you have a family member or you have a client that you feel like would benefit from this, nothing you need to do except just give them the information and for them to show up. So we don't have to do some type of intake with them or anything like that. It's completely free. Just give them the info here. You can go to edmondcounseling.com/pain and have them show up to group. We'd love to have them.
Absolutely. And Amanda's a great clinician, and I think that they'll be in good hands.
Yeah. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. So Haley, do we have a winner for this week?
We do. Our winner this week is Angela Trejo.
Hey, congratulations, Angela. So what did Angela win?
Angela has won a free on-demand course from the Oklahoma Counseling Institute, and we have added 6 more hours this last week. And so you have 80 courses to choose from, my friends. So send me an email, shoot me a text, let me know which of our on-demand courses you would like, and I will send it your way. And if you would,
great.
go ahead, Micah.
Oh no, I was just going to say that's fantastic that she won though. So how did she win?
So Angela won by liking last week's post. And so if you'd like to be like Angela and you'd like to be entered into next week's drawing, you can do one of 3 or all 3 things. You can like this post, you can share this post, or you can comment your answer to today's question. Each time you do one of those 3 things, not only do you help us grow, help us be seen by others, we also get entered into the drawing for next week's prize. And so that being said, this week's question is, what has been your favorite Halloween costume? And so me, as I mentioned on Friday, like I always like to dress up. So I'm definitely going to dress up on Friday. Even as an adult, I love to dress up for Halloween. So I've dressed up over the weekend as my favorite author, Hunter S. Thompson. And I had 2 people recognize who I were, and we became best friends immediately. But that's been my favorite costume. What about you, Micah? Whether from adulthood or as a kid, what was your favorite Halloween costume?
Oh well, I'm gonna have to say 2, of course. So as a kid, it was Batman, which you remember those costumes where it was just this plastic apron basically, and you had your plastic mask, and they lasted. You were lucky if they lasted the whole evening of
Yes.
Halloween.
Plastic
So
abs and everything.
yes, yeah, and I mean, I loved that as a kid. I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old at the time. And then the other one that comes to mind is whenever we dressed as zombies at our house. So my wife really loves Halloween, and so she had all of us dress up as zombies. And so me and the kids, and of course her, and then had her cemetery out front, and we were all like walking around as zombies. And so you'd see these little kids that would come up and not sure if they wanted to approach the house. Of course, we try not to be like super scary with the little kids and stuff. And then with the older kids, of course, we're a little bit more scary. But that was kind of a fun thing. We had like our niece come over. She dressed up as a zombie, so we had like the whole family out there just wandering the front yard dressed as zombies. So that was another really, really good time. So we'd love to hear from you on what your favorite Halloween costume was growing up. And as Haley already said, you put that in the comment section. You put in the comment section what type of horror film viewer you are. Maybe you don't watch them at all. Any comment that you put in there will enter you in to win, as well as liking or sharing this on Facebook, also on LinkedIn or YouTube. So we thank you guys for supporting us, and we hope everyone has a good week and a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.